Mississippi. Alvin Hoover's on. Good morning, sir, from King's Daughters Hospital, CEO of King's Daughters Medical Center in the great city of Brookhaven. How you doing, Alvin?
I'm doing good.
Are you safe? Are you okay?
Oh yes, I'm okay, Paul. We're being careful. We're washing our hands around here. We're keeping our social distance. We're limiting our exposure to other people and certainly to the virus. And,
yep.
I advise you and everybody else out there stay away from hospitals and nursing homes.
I don't disagree. I know and I think about you guys because the doctors and nurses are there. They're in the line of fire. They need the protection. We saw people saying that, I think it was yesterday, the bulletin that went out from the president and the staff and all of his task force saying, look, any of you businesses out there, check your warehouses, check your storerooms, no matter what kind of business you have. If you have some of these masks, you can send them to us in Washington, but better still, put them in a truck, a car, on a bicycle, and take them to your local hospital. Could you explain to me what is it, the N95 mask?
It's every mask, Paul. We've been on an allotment for the last 2 or 3 months. We typically get what we have used regularly in a month, and now with this virus, you have a lot more patients that need to be isolated. You need to take precautions going into the room, and the rate that we're going through that stuff is just it's scary. We've got about a week and a half's worth of N95 masks, good masks. Now, we've had some donations, and the government has said that you don't have to have you can use a mask that's expired. Mm-hmm. So we've got probably another 2 weeks worth of those masks to take care of people. We have, at our hospital, we've got 3 positive patients. We've got 3 or 4 more patients that are pending their test that are suspected of having it. So all those patients have to be in isolation. That's not all. We've got other patients that have medical conditions that have to be in isolation. So we're going through that equipment and supplies at a rate that we've not ever had to do before. And it's frightening for our employees to be on that tight an edge with the supplies that they need to stay safe.
What is, when they say the N95 mask, it does fit tightly around your face. I think it's got the rubber bands on it too, but is it just a regular mask, or does it have...
No, it's
got some particles or some charcoal in it, or what is it comprised of?
Well, I can't tell you all the technology behind the mask. What I can tell you is it's the safe mask. It's the mask that filters the very small particles out of the air. It fits tightly around your face. They have either a piece of metal or the mask is formed, depending on which mask you get, that it fits your mouth, around your mouth and nose, and you don't have the option of air sucking down in through the mask.
So it's not like a surgical mask. It's not like a surgical mask, Alvin. It really serves a different purpose.
It does, yep.
How many times can you use it?
Well, they've lightened the requirement. Usually it's a one-time use. And now CDC says in light of a shortage, it's best to keep one mask and pretty much use it all during the day. That carries some risk with it. If you've been in a room and a patient's coughed, or, we keep masks on those patients as well, but if they're coughing and while they're eating, they pull the mask down, you're in there and they coughed and you've got droplets out in the air, you've got to have a mask that prevents that from getting in. Well, it's on the outside of the mask. When you take it off, the rule, the new guidelines say fold the mask with the outside in, put it in the bag. Well, that's all well and good, but it's more risky to do that during the day, but it's what we're having to do. At night, we're putting them into a box with a UV light. We've had one of our local contractors build us a box with a UV light that we can lay mask in, and the UV then kills any virus or bacteria that's on the mask.
Alvin is the CEO of King's Daughters Medical Center in Brookhaven. Alvin, we're not only talking about the doctors and nurses there, but the administration at the hospital, the cafeteria people who come in and feed everybody, the cleaning crew. There are so many people that they go home to their loved ones at the end of the day, and there's a lot of concern about that.
Absolutely. These the healthcare workers are taught to be clean anyway, and so now they've ramped it up. A lot of folks go home, they strip down in the garage or on the porch outside as much as they can. They go inside, they get a shower, they wash those clothes right away. They're taking every precaution to be safe around their families.
Have you heard anything as far as Washington is concerned, or maybe Jackson, that you have some relief coming from those masks?
No. Well, there's talk that more supplies are coming. We've not seen them. We got our first shipment in the day before yesterday. We got 27 extra masks, N95 masks. That'll last us probably not a more than 2 days with the way that we're conserving them now. So I'm worried. I think every healthcare administrator in the state's worried that we're not going to have the supplies we need. Mississippi, we rank about 35th in total population among states in the country, but we're 20th in the number of COVID cases. We're getting supplies down like our 1% population deserves, but we're running cases higher than that. I think there needs to be a little more attention paid to what's going on in Mississippi with the virus. We want to think that it's not so bad here, that there's not that many cases, but we've got a real hot spot just south of us in New Orleans, in Nashville to the north of us. All around us we've got COVID, and we've got people that have been out of town. They've come back into town. It's a worrisome time for hospitals right now.
What is
the hardest time we've
Let me ask.
in a long time.
Can you hang on for a second? I want to ask you a couple of other questions.
Okay.
All right, hold on. It's Alvin Hoover, who is the CEO, King's Daughters Medical Center in Brook. Alvin Hoover. Alvin, you've been at King's Daughters for 13 years now?
Yep.
2007? Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Never seen anything like this, Paul. It's unprecedented, and the hospitals that I know, we've been preparing for these things our whole career that you may face something like this, but the enormity of this crisis is overwhelming. And I think you're going to see a lot of small rural hospitals as well as some large hospitals struggle through this if they can even make it through. We've been in for about 2 weeks. Our revenues are way down. The cost of operating a hospital is enormous. And without any immediate help from the federal government or state governments, you're going to see some hospitals throwing in the towel pretty quick because they won't be able to make payrolls. Yeah.
Have you checked on the stimulus package? Has your people said that there's something inclusive in this package?
Yeah, there's something there. There's a little bit of help, but I'm worried that the original one that came out that Cindy Hyde-Smith was a co-sponsor with. The original part of that had some excellent parts for us. This latest version has some things that are going to help, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Are you saying that those were taken out, or are you saying those were taken out, or you haven't read it yet?
Some parts were taken out. Some immediate money, some per patient revenue pieces were taken out of it, the way I understand it. I looked at it late last night, and there's some ability for hospitals to get an advance on monies that they're going to be paid for the next 3 or 4 months. So that's helpful. That's certainly helpful. The problem is our volumes are way down. We're not doing any elective surgeries.
Well, I was going to say, how's that?
We typically do 25, 30 surgery cases a day, and we're doing 7 and 8. And, that's staff that's having to go home, but the challenge of running a hospital, just because I send a few people home, the other costs that I have are huge. And it's hard to cut enough to do this. So if hospital has cash reserves, they can with a 30-day cash reserve, you can go 30 or 45 days of decreased numbers, but after that, you run out. If you've got 5 or 10 days, which is the case for a lot of small rural hospitals, then a week and a half, 2 weeks of this, 3 weeks of this kind of revenue cuts are going to really put those hospitals in jeopardy in the communities that they serve.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough.
What's your capacity there now? As far as the hospital, are you full?
No, we've been probably a little busier than normal. There's a lot of respiratory illness, not just the COVID. We've got about I think I mentioned a while ago, probably 6 or so COVID positive or COVID-like illnesses that we're waiting on test results. And here's another thing. If you come to the hospital and have the COVID virus, we can get your result back maybe in a day, maybe same day, maybe the next day. That's been up and down. It's been anywhere from 1 day to 3 or 4 days for hospitalized patients. The state's they're getting a hold of that, and we're getting those results back quickly. But if somebody comes up to one of these mobile screening sites and you send it off, the state's not accepting those tests anymore because they're overwhelmed with hospitals and nursing home and healthcare workers. Those are going to private labs, and it's taken us 6, 7, 8, 9 days to get the results back.
Jeez.
So the numbers that I think are, this is me sitting in Brookhaven. I think the numbers are a little slow to come into the state because we've got such a lag time on those results.
You get 9 days. You start getting up to 7 or 8 or 9 days. You could have somebody who is contagious, that's infecting a lot of other people, or to the fact to probably go through the entire cycle and then get over it in 7 days.
Well, yep. You hope that most people are going to get over it, but those elderly folks, they're at risk. If you're 65 or older, if you've got chronic problems, we need to still be, as a society, we need to be very, very careful over the next couple of weeks. Follow the guidelines that have been laid out by the governor and,
I agree with you.
The CDC, and pay attention. The problem is that hurts not just hospitals, but small businesses all across the state. This is has such a cascading, penetrating effect on our whole economy. It's very, very worrisome to me as a hospital administrator.
I think it's worrisome to anybody, no matter what field you're in right now. We just got 3.3 million people on unemployment. The numbers just released. So I mean, it's not good, but we're all in this thing together, and we've got to all of us work our way out of it, one way or the other. Alvin, I hope the next time we get together for a chat, it'll be under better circumstances.
Well, I sure hope so too, Paul. Thank you for having me on this morning. Remember, man, you wash your hands for 20 seconds, and if you run out of hand sanitizer, wash your hands.
Well, but that's the key, though, because a lot of people talking about these wipes and everything else. The first line of defense is soap and water, soap and hot water, and sing happy birthday. And by the time you're through singing happy birthday, that's about the time it takes for you to wash your hands the right way. So, Alvin, thank you. Right. Appreciate it very much. Alvin Hoover, the American College of Healthcare executive and CEO at King's Daughters Medical Center in Brookhaven.